Ship's log, celestial date 218.242.07. We are in orbit around a planet that I hadn't had on any of my star charts, and calling it Tyr for now, around a star that we call Mu Omicron. It's sitting at an anchorage in the first drift I did after leaving Dead Rock, in between Dead Rock and Sigma Chronos. And I'm not exactly sure what the story is, but there's some kind of a fortification floating in the dense gas atmosphere. Instruments read that the atmosphere is marginal, so I'm probably going to need an environmental suit. And I'm not sure I have one for my companion on board, Mainframe, so I may have to leave him behind. But I definitely want to check this thing out. Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster. We are with Krista, our main character, who's joined by Mainframe, and if necessary, Iris, her little robot. And in the previous episode, Krista left the Dead Rock area with Mainframe. She swore an iron vow to him to make sure that when she goes to the Shattered Federation, she mucks with their adept and their adept's interface so that they can't track right now the sort of spyware that Mainframe implanted in the Shattered Federation's Weave hub to wherever on the Weave hub in Rec the Universal Stars are using to spy on them, right? They're basically spying on these guys, and they're gaining access to their passphrases and stuff. So Krista swore to make sure that she would implant a device that Mainframe gave her that would scramble the signal and make sure that they would never be able to basically blame the Universal Stars for losing their password. They then undertook an expedition, and we came to a waypoint. And that waypoint is this white dwarf star Mu Omicron that was previously uncharted. And what we found was that somehow or other, something in this system, probably on this secure, safe fortification, is an envoy from another time or another reality. So what I'm envisioning is a floating vault that perhaps looks like Cloud City, Bespin, from The Empire Strikes Back, and it's floating in the gaseous atmosphere near the top of the atmosphere, near the stratosphere of this world, and not deep down because it would be very dense and very high gravity down there. And the atmosphere is marginal. One of the things it says on the Jovian worlds, there might be pockets of breathable air, so there's pocket of breathable air that it's sitting in. Maybe it's generating. And it is a vault from the past. And somewhere inside of it is this envoy from another time. It is a precursor. So what I think is it's probably not a living precursor. It's probably a recording, a hologram of some sort, a messenger. I'm sort of imagining... there was an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, I think in the first season, where they went to a planet that had been a place where they were selling weapons, and they came upon a hologram of a guy who was trying to sell them weapons and demonstrate the weapons' effectiveness, and so the weapons started attacking them to prove their effectiveness. And by the end of the episode, they had to agree to buy the item, and then it deactivated. And so the guy who was talking to them wasn't alive. It was like an interactive recording, like a holographic image with some AI behind it to interact. And so I think that's what we're going to find in this vault. So I've created the Tyr vault, and I think what's going to happen is I think Mainframe's going to come with her on the Stinger ship, but he's going to stay on the ship. So I've created that, and I've created a random roll table. I decided this is going to be a chaotic vault. So chaotic is, they're weird anomalies. Well, I think that makes sense if this is something from the past and there's going to be an envoy here. So this is a chaotic vault. I've done something a little different here. Instead of using D6, we're using D8. I want to minimize the descriptor focus so we can maximize getting our vault and chaotic features. And then for the trouble, same thing. There's only a 1 in 8 instead of a 1 in 6 chance of just generic pay the price. A 1 in 8 instead of a 1 in 6 chance of generic story complication. So those two only account for 25% of the options, and then chaotic and vault perils I gave a greater chance because I'd like to encounter those because they're unique rather than just sort of generic pay the price and story complication, which you can encounter anywhere. So we're going to begin, and I think the first thing that's going to happen is we're actually still above the surface, and the first thing that's going to happen is Krista is going to scan the area with her sensors to see if she can figure out whether there's any life on the planet, right? We don't know yet whether this thing has any life forms. So the first thing she's going to do is scan it and see if it has any life forms on it. And we already have 10 momentum, so I don't think I'm not going to make a secure advantage roll or anything on this. So she's going to deep scan the area. Let's do gather information rather than secure advantage. She's going to deep scan the area and figure out what we discover. We'll find out then whether we have figured out planet-side features, life, etc. So if we get a strong hit, I'll do all of this, and we'll get life and 2 planet-side features. If I do a weak hit, we'll maybe just get one or the other of these, and I'll randomly roll which we're going to get. If we get a miss, she won't be able to pick up any signs of either of those things, and we just won't know the answer to that yet. So we're going to gather information. First move, she's using wits, she's scanning with the ship, there's no bonuses, and she's going to just see, does she have any signs of life, and what are the planet-side features? And we get a weak hit. So it provides information. We can take +1 momentum. We're not going to take +1 momentum. So what we're going to say is, are we going to get planet-side features or know about the life? So let's roll it. And it's 50-50, I think. Do we get data on life? Yes. So we're not going to get any planet-side features, but we're going to get signs of life. And it turns out there's diverse life on this planet. So that's really interesting. So there's lots of different kinds of living things on this planet. So it must be breathable enough that even though it's a gas giant, it must be breathable gas, or at least it's not hostile like Jupiter. So that's what she scans, and she says, it looks like there's a landing platform on one side of this fortification. Let's head down there and see if we can get inside. And so here's a question. Does she have an extra environmental suit? Because Pyro used to be on the ship, right? So should we check our gear? I think we should do that and see if she's got an extra environmental suit for him. Yeah, so we're going to roll plus supply. Does she have a working environmental suit for mainframe that he can come with her? Strong hit. Yes, so we don't need the momentum, but yes. So it turns out she does have a working environmental suit. So she says, let's take the Stinger ship down there. And so she puts her craft in orbit, on like geosynchronous orbit above this this fortification, and she and mainframe get into the Stinger craft. So I created it as a creature. And what I have as a note here is this isn't an asset, but narratively she has access to this ship. So she's going to use it to go down into the atmosphere so she doesn't risk the storm swept. And we're going to go into the vault. So I think this is going to be a dangerous delve. And we're still in this troublesome expedition, but this is just too cool not to do. So this is going to be delve the tier vault. I know we don't call these delves anymore, but I still think of them as delves. So let me set this up and I'll bring you back. All right, so I think we're all set, and this is a dangerous delve. And so remember, when we get to 6 progress, we get to the sanctum if we haven't gotten there yet by another transition. And Krista is going to fly through the atmosphere and land on the landing platform. So in the oracles, let's take a look at our vault. And let's get the outer first look. So as we're flying through the atmosphere, her scanners are on, the clouds part, and now suddenly they can actually see this floating hulk that's hovering in the atmosphere. And what does it look like? And let me just check. Are we supposed to do one or two of these? So let me just check. All right, so I've done some of this without like rolling things like the scale and so on. So so let's see. I think for the scale, I'm not going to roll this. I think it's going to be either minor or typical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 1d65. And we get a 12. So it's a minor confined site. And then we're going to look at what form it takes. So let's roll that. And its form is a monument of some sort. Okay. Floating in the sky. And then we want to do the shape and the material. So its shape, it is a floating obelisk, it turns out. That is really cool. And its material is going to be green metallic. It is the same as the vault on, what was Relic's World? Carrion. Same type of material. All right, so that's cool. And then the outer first look, we do 1 and a 2. Let's do 2. Our outer first looks are, oh, excellent, a sound or a signal, and it's phasing in and out of reality. And I think, in fact, this whole system is sort of phasing in and out of reality, which is why we are in a chaotic site. So that is really cool. So there's a signal, and much like the vault on Carrion, there's a landing beacon here. So now Krista immediately comes on her guard because she says, look, I experienced a landing signal like this before, although it was in something on land that wasn't phasing in and out of reality like this. But when I got in there, it tried to like capture me, so we'd better stay on our guard. And what she says to Mainframe is, maybe you better stay on board the ship. In case this thing phases out of reality and I start to fall, you can at least fly down and try to catch me with, like get under me or something. And Mainframe says, look, I'm not much of a pilot. I don't know if I can do that. And Krista says, well, I'm not sure what else to do. And he says, look, if this thing is phasing in and out of reality, are you sure you want to get on here? And Krista says, I think so. It seems stable now. Let's try it. What have we got to lose? And he said, well, what we got to lose is we could phase out of reality with it. And, well, Krista's curious, right? So she says, well, aren't you curious? Don't you want to know what's on here? Besides, think of all the cool stuff that could possibly be found on this vessel. And reluctantly, I think he's probably going to agree to it. Let's do a compel move, but I think he's probably going to agree to it because it makes sense that he would. So let's compel him. She's trying to convince with iron. Or sorry, with heart. We get a weak hit, so he agrees. So what's he going to say? So he says, okay, but if we find anything that's valuable, I get to keep it. And Krista says, okay, well, if it's something we can sell, you can keep it. If it's lore, we share it. And I guess he'll agree to that. So that's our outer first look. So then they fly up to it, And I think we're going to have to, should we, I think we're going to have to face danger to get in here. Um, and one of the other things that I've been thinking, and I think this works as well, is if we go to the sector here, we have this star that's phasing in and out of reality. Is it possible that Krista's fragment of the Ophion is meant to be? Remember, she has to get a single star to shine on it, and it will show the star map. Is this the star? So I think what we're going to do. So this is an epic quest, right? I don't know if that's possible, but I think maybe it is, right? And so what I'm going to do here with this background vow is I'm going to, each time she encounters a new star, I'm going to give it a low probability. And even if it's no, we're going to get a tick, right? She's eliminating the stars that it isn't. So when we come on something that's an unusual star, we're going to check it, right? At some point, minimally when we get to maybe 3 or 4 boxes, I'll say, all right, so like this box, it's unlikely that it's the star. It's on small chance. This box, it's unlikely. This box is 50-50 and so on. So that by the time we get here, halfway through the vow, we finally found the star and lit up the map. So I'm going to say it's a small chance. So as they're flying to the atmosphere, before they get down there, let's retcon a little bit. She's going to pull out her fragment of the Ophion, which he's seen before, and he says, "What are you doing?" And she says, "Well, there's something on here that's supposed to reflect the light of a star, but I don't know what star it is." And she's going to aim it at this Mu Omicron white dwarf to see if it lights up. Okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to ask the Oracle, small chance. Is it going to light up? No. So that gives us a tick. We've eliminated this star. So regular old stars, we're not going to aim it at. But when she comes up on something like this, that's a star out of the past, potentially that's phasing in and out of reality, that could have potentially been the thing to light up her map. Okay, so now we fast forward back to they're getting ready to land. And she is going to face danger to see if she can land on the platform without a problem. And then we will get our inner first look, and we will start undertaking our expedition. So face danger. And she is, I think she's using agility through the buffeting winds and the storms and so on and so forth. So we're going to use edge. And we get a weak hit. So I think it takes her a while. It's a little bit of a delay. We lose a bit of momentum. But she lands, and we're going to get, and so she lands on this landing platform. So let's see, it's an obelisk, right? So it's this vertical thing. And I'm guessing at the bottom of it, so she's going to be going up levels, right? At the bottom of it, there are these 4 landing platforms. One, it's a square obelisk at the bottom, like think of the Washington Monument, goes up and becomes smaller as it goes to the top. And so there's 4 landing platforms, one on each wall of this obelisk. So she lands on the landing platform. They both have environmental suits on. They get out into this atmosphere. Iris comes with her, and there's like a doorway that's open, and they go inside the door. It's solid now. Let's hope it doesn't phase. And they enter the delve. They enter the vault. Right, so now we're here, and we've landed, and they get out, and we get our inner first look, and then they'll be in the interior. So vaults, inner first look. And let me check, are we supposed to do 1 or 2 of these? 1 to 2. I usually like to do 2, but let's try 1 and just see what it says. First look. So we get material does not match the exterior. So there's this green metal on the outside, but on the inside, there's a different material. And what kind of material is it? It is plant-like. And roll twice. I already did that. Let's roll one more time. I'm not going to roll 4 times. Smooth and plant-like. All right, so plant-like doesn't make any sense. Metallic and smooth makes sense to me. I'm going to ignore all that other stuff. So inside, it's a different color. Instead of being this industrial metallic on the outside, right? Green, industrial metallic on the outside, right? So we can think of it like very blocky. But then inner first look, the material is smooth, shiny black metal instead of the green. And so it's almost like glass. And the other inner first look we're going to get is, I guess the material just doesn't match the interior. All right, so they're going to walk inside, and let's see the first area they get into. So we will move them in. And she comes in with Iris. Iris comes with them. And they get inside. And the first area that they come into. Whoops. Get this out of the way. The first area they come into. So, well, they got to get inside first. So let's undertake an expedition. And she's using her survey bot using wits. So let's undertake an expedition. And all right, so Chris has got her gun out and her scanner. Mainframe doesn't really have anything. He's got a flashlight, right, and maybe her toolkit. And, of course, the robot's with them. So we're staying vigilant, and we go inside to find out what the first area is. And we get a strong hit. We reach a waypoint and mark progress. So we go to our progress, and we mark progress. And now we're going to envision what we find. So in the vault, so let's roll our chaotic vault feature, and we roll. And we're going to do descriptor for plus focus right from the beginning, guys. Even though I tried to make it low probability. Unstable battleground. Okay, so I think this is, so they come to what must have been a guard room. And as they go in, I think it's going to maybe, so if it's unstable, does that mean that like the floor is going to maybe phase in and out? And, I mean, it's not a peril. So I don't think so. I think they come in and I think it shakes. The ground kind of shakes. And, oh gosh, this is so annoying with these things. The ground kind of shakes. And, they, kind of, hang on, let me fix this, the fact that they're not on top of this shape. Let me just fix it. Sorry guys, there's no way to fix it. This is super frustrating that the layers just don't work right. No matter how far I send it back, these guys still end up underneath it. Now I could fix it by deleting them and re-bringing them back out. They'll go on top of this room, but the next room they won't, which is super frustrating, but we'll just live with it. So they're in a guard room, and of course it's empty. There's nobody here. And the floor shakes, and they kind of grab onto each other, and Iris sort of looks back at them and beeps, because Iris doesn't care that the floor is shaking. Iris floats. And Krista looks around for the doorway, and she sees a doorway heading further in. And so the doorway heads further in. And they're going to head to the next area. So now they got to cross this unstable room. And they've got to undertake an expedition again. And I think, I mean, they're not moving at speed, but they do kind of need to use their dexterity. So what I'm going to say is, I'll roll the wits because they are being vigilant, but I'm not going to add the +1 for Iris because I feel like Iris can't really help them navigate this like trembling platform that like shaking. Maybe it's like it's starting to corrode, and so they're afraid they're going to fall through and end up going down underneath into the planet or something. I don't think Iris can really help them with this, so I'll roll the wits, but not Iris's assistance. And we get a weak hit. So we reach the location, but the progress costs us. I think we're going to lose momentum, unfortunately, to momentum, because it takes us a long time to walk over the areas, right, to get to a safe spot, right? Like you're kind of making sure you're placing your foot in the right spot. Parts of the floor are maybe corroded and you can even see the atmosphere underneath, and so they're trying to like jump over those, and so it slows them down and it takes a while. Now we enter the next area, and what kind of a feature are we going to find? We get a vault feature. So now we go vaults, interior feature. And what we find is narrowing or widening path. So I guess this is going to be a narrow corridor. So this is a narrow corridor. And the three of them go in together, and she takes out her scanner. We mark progress on the delve. And we haven't gotten into the sanctum yet, but we're probably fairly close, right? Because 6 progress, you get into the sanctum. And they're going to continue. So far, it's empty. So they continue along with these black shiny walls. They're going down this narrow corridor. It's stable in here. And now we're going to undertake an expedition, again using wits, and this time she can use the bot. She sends Iris ahead with the flashlights on. And we get a strong hit. So we reach a waypoint and envision what we see. So we come to another area, and Mainframe says, I thought it was going to be more exciting in here. And Krista says, shh, be quiet. We're not out of the woods yet. We still don't know what this thing is. And we roll. Vault feature. So one of the things I do want to point out is the rules on our discovery were if we interact and investigate this thing, we get 2 ticks on our discovery track, so we are now going to take that. That gives us some experience. So she's explored this vault. She doesn't have to get success or whatever on the expedition. That'll maybe give her more discoveries. But, and I don't think, all right, yeah, so we don't get anything from this, but we are using esoteric knowledge potentially here. So we've gained some discovery. We may gain more on the inside when we get there. So now we're going to do a vault feature. So the next feature we get is signs of invasive creatures. Okay, so we come into this section, and Iris sort of points out that, so I don't know what kind of a room this will be. Let's just continue the corridor, I guess. Right, so we're just continuing And then we're going to head to the sanctum here. Whoops, didn't double click. So this is still a narrow corridor. And at this point, Iris points out to signs of invasive creatures. So what do the signs look like? Let's roll like a revealed aspect or something. See if that helps. Replication. That doesn't really do anything to me. For me. Let's try action and theme. Evade power. Okay, well, one of the types of creatures, if we go to the compendium, one of the types of creatures are, what are they called? Gnawlings. Gnawlings chew on cable, like on power cables and stuff. So I think Iris points out that along the wall there is a power conduit behind maybe a screen. And the screen has been sort of torn open, so it's not the smooth wall anymore. There's a torn open section, and inside they see signs of the power cables being chewed on and maybe some droppings and stuff. So Krista says, "Oh, bleep." She starts saying forged curses, and Mainframe says, "What? There are gnawlings in here. We better hope they didn't get onto the Stinger. I don't want them on the Storm Swept. Once you get them in, it's almost impossible to get rid of them, right? They're menaces to ships." And Mainframe says, well, let's hope they didn't get any further past here to the outside. Maybe they're dead, right? These signs look pretty old. Those droppings have probably been here for years. So Krista grumbles, but now we're going to head inside. So there's the doorway, and the doorway, let's see. I don't think it is working. I don't think it's powered. It's partly open, and they grab their hands on it and they slide it open. And we're going to undertake an expedition and see what we find. And we get a strong hit. So now we're on the interior. Sorry, we're on the sanctum. And we make progress. We should have done that before, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we actually mark progress again, because I think I forgot to do that last time. Let me just check. Yeah, I didn't mark progress here because I got caught up doing the feature. So we're now 8 progress in, and what feature are we going to find? We find transforming spaces. So, So I think they come into this next section here, in here, and what they see is a room. So they open the door and they see a room that keeps changing shape, right? That first it's a square room, looks like a control room, then it changes shape and it looks like a lounge, then it changes shape and it looks like a mess hall, then it changes shape and it looks like a control room again, then it changes shape. So it's almost like, imagine like a malfunctioning holodeck. In fact, I think that's what we see here. There's like a grid around it, and it's like the holodeck is changing. Like first it's giving you one scene and then another scene and then another scene. So it's some sort of a hologram, Mainframe says. And Krista says, yeah, it looks like, but is it real or is it just illusion? So we've now reached this thing that's transforming spaces. Can we figure out the purpose at this point? Let's do that when we complete the expedition. So I think instead, should we explore the waypoint? So let's explore this place. She takes out her scanner and she's going to step inside. So we're going to call this a malfunctioning holodeck. This is not technology that I think that the rest of the galaxy has at this point, but she knows what a hologram is, so she can recognize what this is, and so she's going to scan it and see if she can figure out what the heck this is. So we're rolling wits. She's going to use her scanner. Are these things illusions or are they real? And we get a strong hit. We find an opportunity, or we make mark progress. So I think she says this definitely is a hologram, and she steps inside. And that brings us to probably the end of the delve. And I think when she steps inside, all of the hologram stuff sort of stops, and then what's going to appear before her is going to be a being, a representative, an envoy from another time, from the past. And this is going to be some sort of an AI that she can interact with. So is it going to do that, or is it going to attack her? Let's roll and see what happens. We get, of course, a weak hit. We never get a strong hit with 10, ever. Have I ever gotten a strong hit with 10? We get a weak hit. We face an unforeseen complication at the end of the expedition, one rank lower, so we get 1 discovery tick. Like almost every time it's 1 rank lower because I always get a weak hit even with 10 progress. Let's clear this. It's completed. So I think what's going to happen is the envoy is going to start to talk to her. And when it recognizes it's not her, it might attack her. So the envoy comes up. So what does it look like? So let's do an envoy of Tyr, right? And I don't know whether these are Tyrians or something else, but this is going to be a creature. So let's see what it looks like. What environment are they used to? I feel like, well, it's on Tyr, but we don't know if they're Tyrians. Let's just see. So their environment is land. So it is a land-based creature. Their scale, we will not allow anything over vehicle sized. So I'll roll it and we'll re-roll if it comes up over 90. 49, person sized, right? So human sized. The basic form for a land creature is insectoid. And its first look is that it has fur, hair, or filaments. Filaments. So filamentous, like almost like urchin-like spines on its body. And then there is a visible symbiote that looks like what? I'm not rolling twice, we'll just roll once. A snake or an eel. All right, so eel-like symbiote on its back, right in between the spines. So that's the first look. And then let's reveal one aspect, Well, all right, so that's no good. Let's just, because it's a hologram, it's not going to have a toxin. Um, let's do encounter behavior. What's it going to do? Pack Hunter. That doesn't really help us either. So I don't know about that. But I think what it does is it starts to. We don't know what these creatures are, but this insectoid thing appears before her, and it starts trying to communicate with her, and it's talking in this sort of clicky voice, and she's like, "What the heck?" And because she doesn't give it the answers it wants, all of a sudden, guns come out, not holographic at all, and shoot at her. And she's like, crap, we better get out of here. So she's going to have to face danger to avoid it. And then the three of them are going to book it and set a course back to the guard room and out. So let's face danger. Plus edge. And we get a miss. Pay the price. So I think she's going to get shot. So I think this is going to be pretty painful. She's going to take 2 health of damage. She gets hit. This totally surprises her. And then Mainframe grabs her and drags her out of there. And she's got to endure harm. And we get, oh my gosh, a miss. We lose an additional 1 health or lose momentum. All right, well, we're going to lose momentum. She's delayed. So, wow, that really costs us a lot. So the thing blasts her with some sort of a stunning blast. Mainframe pulls her out of there. He uses his hands and pulls the door closed, and they hear the blast hitting the door, right? And Krista is stunned. She's just lying on the floor, complete wind knocked out of her. Her new jacket singed, her hair singed, and she's like, what the bleep was that? Why did it attack us? And Mainframe says, isn't it obvious? It's some sort of another culture, and you didn't tell it what it wanted to know. You don't look like one of them, so it thought you were an intruder, which, by the way, you are. Let's get out of here before this thing phases out of existence again. So she says, okay, and Iris is beeping with some concern, and she gets up, and he helps her up, and the two of them are going to set a course out of there, and they are doing it with speed, or no, this is just plus supply. All right, so come on, let's get out of here, and they're going to just book it out. I really feel like, I mean, I know it's rolling plus supply. That's the rule. But to me, this seems a lot more like it should be edge with face danger. But I'll follow the rule. So we get a strong hit, take +1 momentum. So they get out of there in time. The Stinger is okay. It's on the outside. They flee. They board the Stinger ship, and they head out into the atmosphere. And I think, so here's a question. Is this thing going to shoot at them? I don't know. I'm going to say 50-50. Maybe it's going to take a shot at them. If so, they're going to have to face danger. It does. So a gun comes off the top of it, and as they fly away, pew, 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 it starts blasting lasers at them. So we're not going to battle it or anything. She's just going to try to get away from it. So that is facing danger. And I think we're doing it with agility, mobility, plus edge. And we get a strong hit. So she dodges out of the way, and Mainframe says, boy, you're a good pilot. She says, thank you. And they get out, and they dock with the Storm Swept, and they have now completed their investigation of this waypoint. That was an interesting diversion, guys. Didn't come out all the way I thought. I thought this was going to be some envoy who was going to like talk to them about the past. Apparently not. So for now, Mu Omicron is there. I think every time we come back into this hex, if we purposely go here, Mu Omicron is going to have like a 50-50 chance of being there or not being there. So that's the end of that vault delve, and we are done with that. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. I'm sorry, I meant to turn it off. So we can always go back there. I'm super disappointed actually that we never got any chaotic features. I mean, some stuff happened that was kind of like chaotic stuff, but we never really got any chaotic features, which I'm a little disappointed in. So I might want to come back here and investigate it further because she didn't get that far, and maybe she can start in that room and like head further up. We'll see. So we don't really know what the purpose of this vault was, so it does bear further investigation, I think. But I think we're going to stop here. In the next episode, hopefully, we will get to Wreck and be able to finish our expedition to the Universal Stars. We have some experience points, but guys, I don't think I'm going to use them right now because I want to get a third XP, which we can do if we can just get one more tick in our quests. I want to get a third experience because then we can get a new asset, and I have a module I want to get for our ship. So the idea is, I said this tech generally doesn't have shields, but there is a shields module. I'm not going to disallow it. I'm going to say that most ships don't have shields, other than like maybe big warships. Her ship size don't have shields, but she can get a module. And the reason we want the shields is because of the gamma ray, right? The first step in the gamma ray quest is to find some kind of gamma ray shielding. So I'm going to rule that if she gets a shielding module on her ship, that will protect her. And then this thing won't be able to hit her, at least with its initial gamma ray burst, although I'm sure it can like shoot her a more focused burst that can batter down her shields. So that's, I think, how we're going to rule that. All right, I think that's where we'll stop. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I certainly did. I like delving, so that was a lot of fun. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster.